All right. We got a trot man here. There's trot men and pacing boys. Steve, you there?
I'm here, Eric. How are you?
All right. Well, we had some pretty good interviews on this episode, and now we got a trot man. Steve, I guess what was your introduction into the business? What generation are you?
I am actually the fourth generation of horse trainers. My great-grandpa and my grandpa and my dad all lived in Wisconsin, and that's where they started. They trained up in Plymouth, Wisconsin, and there used to be quite a big circuit through the Wisconsin area, and they'd do the whole circuit there, and then they'd actually go to Michigan, Ironwood, Michigan. I was too young to actually make the trip with them, but I knew they did Ironwood. They raced at Jackson. My uncle, Bob, who's still alive, he lives in Marshall, Michigan, so he moved up there when he was racing in Illinois and decided to go back to Michigan and just stayed up there.
Wow. So the pick of the shed row here, obviously, is grandparents and great-grandparents?
Yep, that's my great-grandpa and my great-grandma, and my grandpa and my grandma, and one of their friends named Bill Hassan, who I remember when I was a little kid,
right.
About seeing and stuff.
Let's segue to your dad, John. Everybody knew him as a man that could rig a trotter like nobody else. We've got a shot here of 3 drivers. Do you remember who the 3 guys here are, surrounding him?
You know what? I just remember my dad, honestly. It's I'm sure that was in the early 70s and stuff, and I just don't remember who it was.
Can you tell where the pick was taken? Was it at Maywood?
Oh, yeah, that was at Aurora Downs.
It was. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I remember there was nothing better for me that I'd go up on a Friday afternoon with my dad or whatever, and got to spend Friday night and Saturday at Aurora Downs. They'd have a doubleheader on Saturday, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I get to warm up horses and paddock. It might have been the coldest place in the world because it was never warm there at all. But I wouldn't have traded it for $1 million. It was the best time.
Who's this Freddie Freckles everybody saw on social media today before the new year? And there's 2 little kids here. Who's on top? Who's on the bottom? I think you're in front because you're older, right?
Yep, I'm holding. That was my 4-H horse, Freddie Freckles. He was in Appaloosa. And I think it was right around Christmas time that my brother was out to the fairgrounds with me. And I think my dad probably threw him up on the back, and my mom was there and took a picture of us with my little saddle horse there, Freddie Freckles.
And we've got the present day shot here of the 2 of you. I mean, it looks like you guys haven't even aged. Look at those smiles and faces. That's obviously the backside at Hawthorne, current day. Yeah. Is he still helping out? He used to work with Dirk a little part time, and I know he comes out with you at night. Is he still training or anything, or is he just working? Or
no, he is one of my best owners I have. He was working for Dirk. Dirk went out east and stuff, and I don't think he wanted to go with. So he ended up getting a real good job working for the post office. And he comes up, when his horses race, or pretty much almost every weekend, he'll come up to Hawthorne, him and his girlfriend, Michelle Manier, and they pitch in, and he warms up, and I keep trying to get him in the bike again to, drive the one horse we own together coming up, but he's a little gun shy yet. He doesn't want to screw up, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. We own them together. Who's going to get mad? Nobody.
Let's talk about somebody else you put on to drive, I guess, recently. What about Scotty Robbins?
Yeah, Scott. I've known him since he was a baby, and him and my brother are the same age.
Wow.
And he always wanted to get into horses and stuff. When he got out of high school, I was training at the Quad Cities, and he came over, and I said, if you want to learn, not that I knew everything, but I knew enough to get him started. I said, you're more than welcome to go to work for me. And he was a very good worker, and he was smart. You could tell, some people just have a gift with animals and stuff. They get along with them, and you could tell that he could get along with horses. So,
it's interesting. I was just thinking, I had a conversation with Brett Holland a long time ago. Did you know that he's allergic to horses and he has to wear gloves?
Oh, no,
isn't that amazing? Most people don't know that. It's funny. He gets along with horses, but he's allergic to them. He always has to wear gloves.
Yeah,
so,
wow, that's crazy.
You've been really patient. I have to say that. We've known each other for a long time. What's, I guess, your first memory of the Horseman's voice, if I can ask?
Was us hanging out together at Maywood. We'd sit there, and I think most of the time we were downstairs at the little track kitchen there, and we'd sit there and talk about the horses and, what was going on. You were a lot more informed about things going on in political and, with the track itself than I was. And we'd have some pretty good conversations just sitting there talking about a little bit.
So, I kind of ducked out of the industry for a while, but something happened in February 2010. Can you remember a patient dream that you had in 2010?
Oh, yeah. Patient Dream's been very good to us.
So you bought the mare in February of 2010 with Flacco. It's obviously a partnership. And then, a little bit later, somebody had some ants in their pants or something? What happened?
Ants in her pants was, she is the horse that you go your whole life with, or looking for when you train a horse. I mean, that's what gets you up in the morning, and, especially when you start out with the babies. The claimers are fun, and they're your meat and potato horses. You know what they are pretty much. I mean, some people can pick a claimer up and make them real good, but most of the time they are what they are.
So you own the horse with your brother-in-law. Obviously, your wife helps out. We'll get to your secret weapons later, but
Okay.
Let's talk about breeding. I mean, you've obviously been around horses your whole life. You've been breeding, but like you said, this is your patient dream. You had ants in her pants, and now let's check this picture. You had another foal.
Yeah, that is, we're fortunate enough to have horses for the Flacco farms, and they have the best stud, I think, best trotting stud in Illinois, Lou's Legacy. And that is Ants and Pants' first baby, a Lou's Legacy colt. His name is, the names we sent in were Lou's in her pants, Lou suede shoes, and Lou jeans. So,
It sounds like you're listening to Bruce Grider naming horses after songs.
yeah, there you go. Yep, absolutely.
So is this your first third generational bred horse? Your first?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, most of the time we buy yearlings and stuff like that, but Nancy was so special to us. It didn't matter if she had a baby or not. She was staying at the house forever. But why not take advantage of her, her being a good racehorse, and maybe she'll pass it on to her babies.
So let's go to this next shot. One of these women that goes around to the fairs. On the photo it says one name, but I guess she's got a different name on Facebook. We're going to give a shout out to Holly Sage here. It looks like, I can't tell. Is that Spirit?
No, that is actually, I think that's Lou's Into It.
Oh, it is.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and they go to all the, unfortunately we didn't have any fairs this year, just they'd race the fairs at Springfield, so I didn't go down there hardly at all, just for the previews, the review and the preview. But I think that was at the Morrison Fair, and she took a really cool picture, and then I don't know how
digitized it or something. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well.
And I hear Deb actually does paintings and stuff. Is that true?
Well, she buys paintings.
Oh, she buys them. I thought she was painting them.
No,
I think people are under the assumption that she painted it. I saw something on social media. Beautiful, beautiful shot.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
We have a horse for Audra Knox, she loves that horse more than life itself. If people love their kids as much as she loves that horse, it'd be a better world. But she helps us a lot, and we bought a picture, or we took a picture of Ashley's Joy, and she sent it off someplace, and that's what came back, and it turned out really, really nice.
All right, so we've been talking about some of your horses, not all the Lou's, because we can go down the line here. Got a shot here. It looks like a turnout. You want to talk about the farm and your arrangement there? We don't know who this horse is, probably one of the Lou's. And do you want to get into what you're doing as far as full breeding? Because most people are doing the half sisters and half brothers, but you're going full breeding with these horses.
Right. We're fortunate enough to have, again, Flacco's as owners, and we've been really lucky to have some good trotters. Like we have a sister to Lou Zodic, who was the 2019 Horse of the Year in Illinois. We have a brother to Luz Pascal. Who's some of the other ones?
But these are full sisters and full brothers.
Right.
Same stud, same mare.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's a lot of fun. And you know what? They're all different, but they're kind of the same. You know, Luz Zodic's little sister, Luz Xanadu, she looks just like her, and she has the same mannerisms as her too.
Interesting. So you're still based on at Grant Park, and you're obviously going back and forth to Flacco, and running around all over the circuits and what have you. The fairs when we reopen, hopefully next year. But I guess the question is, and I don't want to get too much into your secrets, but you've got some secret weapons here. We've got the wife here. That woman on the left looks familiar.
Yeah, that's Debbie Vermette. I don't know if people around Illinois would know the Vermettes, or not. Her husband, Jim Vermette, he drove and trained, but her original name, or her main name, was Coleman. So her dad trained, and her brother Neil was a very successful driver trainer. So it really helps to have somebody like that in the barn. She knows as much or more than I do, so it always helps. And I'm really blessed. We always call it Team Searle, just for screwing around and stuff. But I have my brother, his girlfriend, Audra Knox, Tony Farina, my wife. Actually, I don't forget somebody, but everybody works together, and we get along great, and it makes racing a lot of fun. I think that's the last few years why we've been pretty fortunate, is because it's a job, and I mean we have good days, bad days, but the majority of the time it's a lot of fun.
Well, let's just hit right to it. Ants in Her Pants and all the other horses, 2016. There's a trainer out there that knows this. She can swear by it. That I said tonight's going to be Steve Searle night. I didn't say Team Searle at the time, but I did say this to this trainer.
There was no team at that time, but yes.
I mean, you just dominated. This is 2016 at Hawthorne, and there's a shot here of you obviously jogging somebody, but you've been in the business for so long, multi-generational, you finally hit it. I mean, how did it feel? Was it 3 or 4 wins that night? I think I remember.
I think it was 3. And you know what? We've just been blessed. We really have. The competition, and I don't want to. Our horses and our people have done very, very well, but it's not as hard as it was like in the 90s and early 2000s. But you know what? Who cares? We've done well. We work hard, and why not take advantage of it? We've just been very lucky. And again, the Flaccos with Lou's legacy has been our savior. I mean, that horse has taken us from the outhouse to the penthouse. He really has.
Well, it's like that with the industry. I mean, everybody's looking for that crapshoot. But the question is, is it breeding your own? Is it raising your own? Is it teaching them when they're young and, teaching them all the lessons that they need to know before they hit the track? You think there's a difference when you're breeding them and you're there from day one versus buying them from the yearling sale or getting them later in a claiming race or doing a private purchase?
Yeah, I think it's with the babies, it's absolutely who raises them and how they're taught. The one thing we do with our babies, especially since the majority of the horses we have are trotters, is just teach them to trot first. The speed will come. My dad always told me that. He goes, don't be pushing them around too fast. Just kind of take your time. And again, we're very fortunate to have really good owners. We have like the Wrights, Bill Wright and his family, and Mystical Marker Farms, and Molly Baldus.
She's an upcoming princess. I'll give a shout out to Molly. I sent her a glitter bomb package, which I informed you of this summer. So Molly, we will eventually get to you in a future edition of the Horsewoman's Voice.
Right.
What's the relationship there then? I mean, you're starting to branch out. You're at Grant Park. You're at Flacco. You're going to U of I.
Yeah, you know what? We've just been very fortunate. I mean, when things are rolling, I don't know if you remember a trainer. There's a guy from Kentucky. His name was Bob Nixon, and I think he was killed in a car wreck, unfortunately, out in Pennsylvania. And when I was first starting out, I was struggling along. I had 4 crappy horses that I had to lease because I was 19 years old. Who's going to give a 19-year-old kid any horses? So, you kind of do what you got to do. And he goes, don't worry about it. He goes, you're going to get your own horse sometime, and that horse is going to make you a little money, and then you'll buy another one. And he goes, it'll snowball. And it's taken me a long time for the snowball to get going, but right at the moment, we have a pretty good snowball.
Well, I mean, you're at the top. You and Mike, you're tight, you compete, but you're still friends off the track.
Oh, and you know what? That's one thing about anything. You know what I mean? I'm far be it. I don't know a fifth of like some of these real big trainers are and stuff like that. I'll admit it, but I'm not afraid to ask them. You never stop learning with a horse. Every horse is different. And when you think you know it all, you're crazy. Just enjoy the horse. You know what I mean? It's don't be mad at the horse. They can be aggravating and stuff like that, but just enjoy it, and they'll enjoy you then too. You know what I mean? They wanna please you. I really believe that.
So you made the front cover of the Sun Times. I mean, you can't get in, and it's not a trotter. We see some howls here. It's a pacer. It looks like, is it Maywood? It looks like Maywood, probably archived from years ago. And, it talks about gambling expansion, what have you. We don't have to get into the politics, but, you made it to the top. So is there anybody out in the industry that you want to give a shout-out to that's helped you, I guess, over the years, besides, obviously, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, your dad, your brother, and your team with Team Searle? Is there anybody else you want to give a shout-out to, Steve?
You know what? I got a lot of friends. I got more friends than I deserve. But my brother and I, and actually Scott Robbins, there was a guy who passed away in 1991. Yeah, I think it was 1991. His name was Jim McGarty, and he was the coolest guy ever. And I learned more from him in the 3 or 4 years that I raced with him and hung out with him than I probably had in my lifetime. He was just so knowledgeable about everything that you would ask him a question, and he knew it. And he told me about the trotters, too. He goes, there's certain things, this is what you look for, blah, blah, blah. And so to get to the bottom line is, I'd have to say Jim McGarty is probably one of the most influential people I've been around. And kind of pay a little respect to him. My brother and I and a couple other people bought a trotter this last fall, a sister or a brother to BC, that trotting filly we have, and we sent in the name for it as McGarty. So, just kind of
remember and show a little respect. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we've run out of time. We've gone over. I love it, man. I love talking with you. Next week's edition of the Horseman's Voice is going to be Horse Women, and we're going to be looking for your wife, and maybe look for Deb, and give a shout out to all the women in the industry, like you said, and like I'm joking, they're secret weapons. Oh
yeah. Trust me. Without the women in the industry, it's in trouble. It's in big trouble.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time again, and we look forward to speaking to you hopefully next spring, and wish you the best of luck at Hawthorne next year, man.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eric.
All right. Thank you.